Wear your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a Rocky Mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, May 14th, Monday, May 15th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And happy Mother's Day to all of those hardworking moms out there, as well as the aunties, grandmas, grandpas, anybody out there that is doing all the hard work of raising this generation. I must say it's quite interesting. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. For listening live right now, you may be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find at KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You may also find us live on eTalk Radio, which you can find on etalk.tv/radio. If you want to listen to us on your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, make sure you tune into us under We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Tumblr, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podcast Chaser, and Podvine. Like I said before, still working on the Amazon thing. Haven't got it worked out yet. If you don't mind, if you'd like to mosey on over to our YouTube channel, we are also live there right now, as well as Twitch. But yeah, go to our YouTube channel under We Are Paradox Media, and please give us a like on any video that you've watched or listened to, and please subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. When I say we, I mean me and this Floyd I got in my pocket. So yes, it's a very happy Mother's Day. I'm super excited to do story time with you, but I have to tell you guys, let me make sure my stuff is on over here. Check my settings real quick because everyone's tuned out over here. Okay, it's going good. Okay, I have to show off my stuff I got for Mother's Day. And these are the best presents ever, I have to say. So this one is by my oldest daughter, not oldest, second oldest, she's 19, Nova, and it says, "Have a mystical Mother's Day. I love you, Nova, 2023." And look, it's like a tarot card, the mother, and it kind of has her hand there holding it. Very cool. I love it. My favorite. I want to hang it over here, but never let anyone dull your sparkle. I like that, but I think I'm going to replace that because I like this painting much better. And then this one is from my littles. Happy Mother's Day. We love you, Floyd and Lily, 2023. Look, it's so cute. It's a pot. The handprints. You can even see Floyd's extra thumb here by his regular thumb. So he was showing me whose handprints are who, etc. I think Lily's here and maybe here, and I think Floyd is here. I'm not quite sure, but it's super cute. I love it. Oh, this is Floyd. Floyd. I can tell by the extra thumb. And then I think Lily, and Lily. And that's Floyd too. I don't know. I love it. Isn't that cool? I'm loving it. Yeah, Lily was trying to help me hang it up earlier, but we didn't do that because I told him I wanted to show it off to you guys. Let me welcome everybody over on speaker. Welcome, Lapham Crew. So yes, I know it's Mother's Day, and I don't know, I kind of feel bad that I didn't go with the family over to Kinsey's and get to see my grandson Archer. But I really feel guilty when I just leave you guys hanging and I do a replay. or whatnot, and I don't know. I just want to provide some good entertainment for you. Hangout session. Let's do this. So, like I said, it's story time with me, TessaTNT. The book we're reading tonight is The World's 100 Greatest Mysteries, Strange Secrets of the Past Revealed. This is by Randall Lloyd. And on the back it says, Journey through a universe of forgotten truths, Atlantis, Bigfoot, Bermuda Triangle, Roddy Murphy, Cardiff Giant, Dragons, Face of Mars, Haunted Battlefields, Caspar Hauser, Noah's Ark, Nosferatu, Piltdown Man, Poltergeist, Shroud of Turin, Spear of Destiny, Titans of Tianhuanco, Tunguska Explosion, Werewolves, and many more. So the inside of this, I shall read to you. Go over here, just check this really quick. And if the sound is messed up, you guys, let me know. Let me know if there's any issues going on. I might have to reset the sound again. But yeah, definitely let me know. Hey, brother. Thanks for tuning in. We're about to get into some mysteries. So the world's 100 greatest mysteries. Are tales of the lost kingdom of Atlantis merely myths? Do ships and planes actually disappear in the Bermuda Triangle? Can human beings simply burst into flames for no apparent reason? What really happened to Amelia Earhart? And what, precisely, is the Spear of Destiny we keep hearing so much about? If any one of these eerie questions keeps you up tonight, get ready for a major bout of insomnia because Randall Floyd is back again. His bag of creepy crawling mysteries, guaranteed to have your lights burning until dawn. From doomsday stars to haunted battlefields, from werewolves to alien abductions, America's master compiler of unexplained phenomena and mysteries and mysterious events has crammed all of your worst nightmares into one bizarre and terrifying package. To catch fleeting glimpses of Judge Crater and D.B. Cooper before they disappeared forever. Discover the president who reappeared from beyond the grave. Find out why leprechauns aren't really so cute. And meet real live, well, not anymore, Amazons. Thank you, brother. Thanks for letting me know. I was just wondering if the sound was bad because people are tuning in then tuning back out, so feel free to hang out with me if you want to. I'll read you some stories. Alright, let's see. So crank up the coffee maker and get ready for a long, bumpy night. The world's 100 greatest mysteries is here to enthrall, fascinate, and horrify you for hours on end. Look at the bright side. You won't be wasting your time sleeping or being bored. So Randall Floyd's books on historical oddities and strange happenings include In the Realm of Ghosts and Hauntings, The Good, The Bad, and The Mad, America's Greatest Unsolved Mysteries, and Great Southern Mysteries. I'd like to actually check that one out because the South, to me, like the Four Corners area, I think is the most active area I've been into. With the South, oh my gosh, that's where my ghost things originated. So I don't know. I got a soft spot for it. Speaking of the South and humidity and heat, it's finally cool in here. No, I didn't. It's Mother's Day I slept in. I chose evil, Anthony. So Anthony was asking, did you go to church? No, I didn't. I stayed up too late, and then I realized it's Mother's Day. I could sleep in. Holy shnikes. These dogs, I swear to God. Oh yeah, next weekend, I promise. Pinky promise. I will take the kids. Jeez, oh Pete, these dogs, I swear. Doomsday Stars. I feel like I should stand up and yell at them, but I really don't feel like it. Somewhere far out in space, there is a big chunk of rock, with Earth's name on it. Years from now, it could be 50, it could be 50,000. That rock will kick loose from its solar orbit and come crashing down. When that happens, life on Earth could come to a screeching halt, as it has so many times in the geologic past. Such a catastrophic scenario might seem unthinkable to some, but stuff of science fiction and fantasy. Yet a number of scientists say doomsday voyagers from the distant corners of the solar system are out there, and they may be headed our way. Uh, don't poke fun at me, mister. I know I keep saying it like every weekend. I am not a morning person. Unless, Anthony, I stay up all night and then go to bed, you know, as the sun's rising or shortly before, I hope. It's easier to get to sleep that way, but I'm not a morning person, and I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person, but my kids need religion, so I'm willing to do it. One more week. I'll do it next week. Anyways, it is known that millions of asteroids cartwheel through the solar system, ranging from a few feet in diameter up to 50 miles wide. At least 50 potentially death-dealing asteroids regularly intersect Earth's orbit. One monster, Ida, is thought to be the largest at 278 miles across. They should have called her Bertha, but her name's Ida. I do not want to mess with that one. What would happen if Ida or one of her big neighbors crossed paths with Earth? For many scientists, this would be the ultimate nightmare. Computer models show that an Earth-crossing asteroid only 1 mile wide could wipe out a third of the life on the planet. A 6 miles wide object would have the impact of 2 million Hiroshima bombs, or 320,000 megatons of dynamite. Fortunately, scientists say the chance of Ida slamming into Earth is zero, but the odds of an encounter with another asteroid of equal magnitude remain pretty high, so high governments around the world have formed doomsday squads that monitor the heavens in search of a potential danger. Millions of years ago, the Earth was under constant bombardment from asteroids and comets. As time passed, the number of collisions became fewer, but the size of the asteroids stayed pretty much the same. Some 500 large meteorites continue to fall to Earth each and every year, while tons of tiny micrometeorites descend daily. Some scientists think a colossal rock more than 6 miles wide and weighing probably a billion tons broke from its orbit 65 million years ago and crashed into the coast of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. The impact wiped out two-thirds of all life, including dinosaurs. Some of them, if you look at the Mayan temples, have the stegosaurs on there. Thanks for sticking around, Anthony. Comets whirling through the cosmos on their long journey around the sun also pose catastrophic risks. Scientists speculate the collisions with these dirty snowballs have occurred in the past, sometimes resulting in mass extinctions. In 1994, the world watched breathlessly when a runaway comet called Shoemaker-Levy 9 looped out of orbit and walloped Jupiter. The impact, clearly visible through telescopes, sent shudders through the scientific community, waking up many to the reality that a cataclysmic collision could occur on Earth. A few astronomers insist strikes by meteorites or death-dealing comets spawned the biblical story about Noah and other legends of fire and flood. It is true that practically every race has its own traditions about ancient catastrophes that nearly ended the world. Many of these legends are so similar in detail that it's tempting to assume they all share a common origin. The Babylonian epic of Gilgamesh, for example, which is around 4,000 years old and records traditions of an even earlier age, tells of a dark cloud that rushed at the earth, leaving the land shriveled by the heat of the flames. The legends of the Oxanawa, the Aborigines of West Brazil, tell of the time when the lightnings flashed and the thunders roared terribly, and all were afraid. Then the heaven burst, and the fragments fell down and killed everything and everybody. Besides the story about Noah, the Bible contains numerous other passages that refer to terrible events. Psalms 18:7-15 reports, "Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken. The Lord also thundered in heaven, in the highest grave gave his voice, hailstones and coals of fire." Greeks, Romans, Egyptians, Indians, Persians, Norwegians, Chinese, and Mayas and Aztecs of Central America are among the many ancient people whose legends deal with cosmic events and cataclysmic disturbances. So do such widely separated cultures as the Celts of Britain and the Maoris of New Zealand. What on earth or in heaven could have caused such a seemingly worldwide disaster? More recently, the late Russian physicist Immanuel Velikovsky promoted a controversial theory that a close Earth comet encounter lay behind the catastrophe legends of old. He claimed the encounter might have had something to do with the parting of the Red Sea, the eruption of Mount Sinai, and the pillar of cloud and fire that Moses saw moving across the sky. According to Velikovsky, the book of Joshua describes a destructive shower of meteorites occurring before the sun stood still in the sky. While the most orthodox scientists dismiss the idea of a global catastrophe of the kind described by Velikovsky as crank theory, they are hard to put to explain the legends. For example, Noah's flood supposedly drowned every living thing on Earth, apart from the few survivors on board of the ark. It is now considered likely that this story was based on a real flood that submerged some 40,000 square miles of Euphrates Valley sometime between 5400 and 4200 BC. Since ancient times, people have contemplated the heavens with a mixture of fear and wonder. The passing of a comet, crash of a meteorite, or other similar celestial events must have been a faith-altering experience for primitive populations. Even today, people still look upon the skies with what or the same sense of helpless dread. Scientists who chart the movements of comets and asteroids must occasionally be tempted to shake their heads and say, if they only knew. Thanks, Truzido. It's good to see you. I was wondering where you went. I haven't seen you in a while. How you been? Aw, I'm so glad to see you, Truzido. Welcome. Ooh, now we're going to talk about Adam and Eve and the New World. Let me wet my whistle. Anthropologists generally agree that humans evolved in Africa, then migrated to Europe and Asia, eventually crossing the Bering Straits into Alaska before wandering down into the Americas. Hey Richie, good to see you, brother. This prehistoric journey to the New World has long been the subject of intense speculation among the soldiers. Until recently, it was thought the migration did not begin until after the end of the last ice age, between 12,000 and 10,000 years ago. I personally think that we've been around longer than that. The prevalent view was that the journey occurred in several waves. one generation giving way to the next, as these skin-clad hunters, armed with crude spears and axes, pressed deeper into their strange new world in search of game and who knows what else. The process must have taken countless ages, whole populations growing up and dying within a few miles of their ancestral birthplace. In time, however, perhaps as recently as 8,000 years ago, their descendants finally reached Tierra del Fuego, at the tip of South America. Now, scientists aren't so sure that's the way it happened. New findings in California, Texas, Florida, Central and South America seem to indicate that human beings have been in the New World a lot longer than previously suspected. That's what I'm saying. In 1976, workers digging along the marshy banks of a creek in Monteverde in southern Chile unearthed the remains of a prehistoric campsite that might contain human artifacts older than any before found in the New World. The discovery sent shockwaves rippling around the scientific world. According to some anthropologists who have examined the artifacts, it now appears that the historical record of the Americas will have to be rewritten. The thing that I've seen that convinces me that we were around when dinosaurs were, um, it's in Arizona, I believe. Could be New Mexico. But there's dinosaur tracks and there's human tracks. So they had to be around basically at the same time. Maybe it was at a different time when the muds were deep and it could have formed that like for the human footprint. But no, you see dinosaur tracks going this way. You kind of imagine this guy or gal was hiding in a bush or behind a rock and the dinosaur passed and he ran this way. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. So these were truly dawn people, said Tom DeLahaye, an American anthropologist who headed the initial investigation in Valdivia. We might think of them as Adam and Eve in the New World. Radiocarbon testing of stone weapons, mastodon bones, and hundreds of other artifacts at the Monteverde site indicate the region might have been home to a band of prehistoric wanderers thousands of years sooner than thought possible. Human footprints were found along remnants, some 45 edible plants. More than one-fifth of the plants came from the regions as far as 150 miles away, indicating that the Montverdians either ranged far or traded with other groups. The amount of plant foods we found at the site, notably wild potatoes, bamboos, mushrooms, and junca seeds, was astounding, said Jack Rosen, an ethnobiologist from Ithaca College who helped study the site. These and other prehistoric finds in the region contradict conventional theories about mankind's relative newcomer status in the New World. According to David Meltzer, an archaeologist at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, how could people possibly have reached all the way down there from Alaska in a few hundred years? He asked. They were pioneering a landscape that was becoming increasingly unfamiliar as they moved south. We had to find water and figure out which plants and animals were edible, useful, harmful, or even fatal. You know, I think I've been Trudeau for backing me up. I appreciate it because it needs to back up sometimes. But there really is no spider that can kill you. Black widows, you'll get really sick. Um, Brown recluse can actually rot your flesh. And then snakes, unless you're out in the middle of nowhere, you're okay. But yeah, spiders, although they may hurt you, don't kill you, even in Australia. And I thought the ones in Australia were actually very venomous, but come to find out, really not so much. There are no deadly spiders, according to science. I don't know. I love science, but I agree with everything Not always. So these brave newcomers had to cross formidable barriers. Dr. Meltzer continued, and cope with new diseases, and they had to do all this while raising families on a vast continent devoid of other people. All of that takes time. Primitive tools and charcoal deposits recently excavated at several places in the United States, Central and South America point to the arrival of Native Americans in the New World 50,000 years ago or longer. Linguists and geneticists have long maintained that American Indians are simply too rich in languages and genetic diversity to have had a common ancestry only 12,000 years ago. I'm I'm saying maybe 120,000 years ago, or maybe more. I don't know. That's just what I feel. The variety of cultures that developed in the Americas would have required a much longer period, they say, since Mount Verde suggests a much earlier presence. Just how and when did they arrive? Could they have skirted the glaciers coming down along the coast by boat from Alaska, or could they have migrated through a narrow corridor that might have separated the ice sheets in eastern British Columbia, sailing across the Pacific from Asia to South America in numbers large enough to colonize? Seems too difficult a journey for primitive seafarers. Yes, do not doubt. According to some anthropologists, this is true. A more likely explanation, they contend, is that these Dawn Age travelers migrated into the lower reaches of North America even before the ice sheets developed, between 20,000 and 75,000 years ago. The speculation is likely to continue even as more evidence is brought forth from the ground. We're to the next chapter. This is Secrets of the Ancient World. Oh no, it's the Pharaoh's curse. The Pharaoh's curse. Howard Carter was worried. For years, he had been digging in the dry desert soil with nothing more to show for it than a few boxes of old ancient bones and bronze age trinkets or trinkets. Now, his time was running out. If he didn't find archaeological treasures soon, he would lose his funding. Lord Carnarvon, his primary British backer, had already warned him there would be no more money after this season. But Howard Carter clung to his dream. He knew that somewhere buried beneath the shifting sands of the Valley of the Kings lay the long-lost tomb of an ancient Egyptian monarch named Tutankhamun, and a treasure worth millions. So the young English archaeologist kept digging, pushing his workers relentlessly beneath the blazing Egyptian sun. Finally, on the morning of November 4th, 1922, Carter uncovered a series of stone steps that led to an apparently undisturbed underground chamber. His spirit soared when he read the name carved above the door, Tutankhamun. Then he saw another message. Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. Carter ignored the strange warning and quickly fired off a telegram to Lord Glenarvan. At last have made a wonderful discovery in Valley. Magnificent tomb with seals intact. Accompanied by a team of specialists, Lord Carnarvon hurried to Egypt. It took them several more days to break through the door and clear a rock-filled passage. Then the two partners, Lord Carnarvon and Carter, stood before a second sealed door. It was Howard Carter's moment of truth. As his wealthy partner and friend peered over his shoulder, the archaeologist shifted the door until there was a hole big enough for him to flash a light in and take a look. He wrote, "At first I could see nothing, the hot air from the chamber causing the flame to flicker. But as my eyes grew accustomed to the light, details of the room emerged slowly from the mist. Strange animals, statues, and gold. Everywhere the glint of gold." The chamber consisted of 4 rooms, filled with caskets, vases, a gold-plated throne inlaid with precious stones, gems, furniture, clothing, and weapons. In the burial chamber itself, flanked by 2 black statues, were 4 gold shrines, one inside the other, and a sarcophagus containing a nest of 3 coffins. The inner one of solid gold held the mummified body of Tutankhamun, wrapped in a jewel-studded shroud. Over his face was a gold mask inlaid with quartz and lapis lazuli. Across his neck and breast was a garland of cornflowers, lilies, and lotuses. The discovery of the Egyptian boy king's tomb made headlines around the world. Scholars held it as the most significant archaeological discovery of all time. In the following months, however, excitement was marred by a number of strange events that led many people to believe that King Tut's curse had come true. Some say it started the very day the tomb was opened. A sandstorm reportedly sprang up suddenly, blinding several workers. As it died away, a hawk, the royal emblem of ancient Egypt, was seen soaring over the tomb to the west, toward the mysterious otherworld of Egyptian belief. Superstitious workers said the hawk carried away the soul of the dead pharaoh, who had left behind a curse to punish those who violated the tomb. The following spring, Lord Carnarvon, 57, died from a bug bite. Legend has it that at the exact moment of his death in the Cairo hospital, the city experienced a brief power failure. Well, that's weird. Very interesting. Back in England, on the Carnarvon estate, one of the lords forgot their favorite dogs began to howl, then suddenly fell over dead. Weird. By 1935, 21 people, either directly involved with the expedition or related to someone who took part in the dig, had died, all under mysterious circumstances. Among them were Lord Carnarvon's half-brother, Aubrey Herbert, and another relative, Lady Elizabeth Carnarvon. Astonishingly, she too died of an infected insect bite. Don't scratch your bites, rub it. Just rub it, don't scratch it. You don't want to get an infection, it's not good. Shortly after Lord Carnarvon's death, Arthur Mays, the American archaeologist who had helped unseal the tomb, complained of exhaustion, then lapsed into a coma and died in the same hotel where Lord Carnarvon had died. Fucking weird. George J. Gould, a wealthy American financier, died of a strange fever. What the heck is going on? On his way back to England, even the radiologist who x-rayed Tutankhamun's mummy, Archibald Douglas Reed, died of mysterious causes on his return trip to England in 1924. The Honorable Richard Bethel, who helped Carter catalog the treasures, was thought to have committed suicide at the age of 49. A few months later, in February 1930, his father, Lord Westbury, hurled himself to death from his London apartment. An alabaster vase from the pharaoh's tomb was in his bedroom. An Egyptian prince, Ali Fahmy Bey, whose family claimed descent from the pharaohs, was murdered in a London hotel His brother committed suicide. This is insane. Newspapers headlined a string of strange deaths on a daily basis, recalling the cryptic warning on the boy king's tomb. They wrote shocking stories about King Tut's curse. While professional archaeologists scoff at the idea of King Tut's curse, the fact remains that dozens of lives were strangely affected by the discovery. In the 7 years after the tomb was opened in 1922, a dozen people who had been involved with the project were dead. Victims, some believed of the dead pharaoh's curse. Most investigators say the deaths were coincidental and had nothing to do with the superstitious curse. Bug bites, for example, are common in Egypt, and without proper medication, victims frequently die from infection. Some of the deaths were linked to dangerous molds inside the ancient tomb. Ironically, the man who might have had most to fear from the curse, Howard Carter, lived for another decade. His death in 1939 was attributed to natural causes. Good on you, Carter. Yet, stories about the strange curse did not go away. In 1966, another death made headlines. This one following a decision by the Egyptian government to allow the pharaoh's treasure to be sent to Paris for exhibition. Better not do it. For years, Mohammed Ibrahim, the Egyptian director of antiquities, had dreamed that a terrible fate awaited him should Tutankhamun's treasure be allowed to leave the country. Shortly after the decision was made to send the exhibition to Paris, Ibrahim was struck by a car while crossing a street outside of the Cairo office. Can you believe it? He died 2 days later, another victim, some say, of the Pharaoh's curse. The Talking Colossus. In ancient times, people traveled to Egypt from vast distances to gaze upon the pyramids and Sphinx and other architectural marvels. But the most famous tourist attraction was a pair of gargantuan statues that stood guard over the capital city of Thebes for more than 3,000 years. What made the statues so popular was the fact that one of them, the so-called vocal Memnon, could talk. The phenomenon was reported by thousands of visitors, including the great Greek geographer Strabo. Many came to worship and pray at the base of the statue. Some describe the sound as like the blow of mighty winds. One worshipper said it was more like the voice of a sweet goddess crying out for a lost child. According to another Greek geographer, Pausanias, the statue spoke every day at sunrise, usually after a large crowd had gathered at its feet to pay homage. Every day at sunrise it cries out, he wrote in Guidebook of Greece, the only guidebook to have survived from the ancient world. One would compare the sound most nearly to the breaking of a harp or string. Many witnesses believed that they had heard the voice of Memnon, the legendary king of Ethiopia, who was said to have been slain by the Greek hero Achilles in the Trojan War. On the legs and base of the talking statue were many inscriptions of the names of distinguished visitors, often with lengthy messages. The inscriptions, written mostly in Greek and Latin, reveal the firm belief of the visitors in miraculous sound. Archaeologists believe the pair of statues known as Colossi of Memnon are really twin statues of the pharaoh Amenophis III, who reigned from about 1417 to 1379 BC. Carved from red sandstone, they tower 64 feet above the ground with shoulders 20 feet broad and fingers more than 4 feet long. That's intense. In 27 BC, an earthquake struck. It struck Thebes with such great force, damaging one of the statues. The giant split across its body, and the upper part of the magnificent structure was hurled to the ground. Soon after the earthquake, reports began to circulate that the damaged statue began to talk, usually around sunrise every day. For 200 years, visitors marveled at the talking statue. Then, early in the 3rd century, a Roman emperor, Septimius Severus, who ruled from AD 193 to 211, went to Thebes and ordered the damaged statue repaired. After the statue was repaired, however, a strange thing happened. It never spoke again. How, then, did the statue speak? One theory holds that the sudden fierce heat of the sun expanded the cold, damp stone evenly along the cracked surface. This might in turn set up a vibration that was interpreted as a melodious voice. Another theory is that the sound might have been caused by a current with expanding air making its way through a damaged section of the stone. Skeptics attribute the phenomenon to human intervention, an ingenious subterfuge to guarantee the gifts and offerings would continue to pour into the shrine. Perhaps the Theban priests were expert ventriloquists, or perhaps they concealed someone at the base of the statue before dawn. So, they must have been incredibly skilled or lucky to have kept up the deception for so long. Beneath the layer of the Sphinx. What is it, Sin? What do you want to ask? Go ahead. So I'm just wondering, Sin from YouTube, what is it you want to ask? Go ahead and ask. I'm looking. I'll try to answer if I can, but all right. I was going to ask about someone's feelings. Okay. What feelings are you asking about? So if you guys can't see the chat room, Sin is in YouTube, so you can go to We Are Paradox Media and get into the chat room there. But yeah, Sin, what is it? Whose feelings? What? I will try to answer as best I can. Certainly. Ask away. So we don't want any dead air time, so beneath the layer of the Sphinx. Ooh, this is a long one. French explorers digging near Giza, Egypt 150 years ago were astonished when they uncovered an enormous stone statue that seemed to be part lion, part god, and part pharaoh. Scholars identify the statue as the famed Sphinx, known to the ancient Greeks, Romans, and Arabs, but forgotten for centuries. How does Chris currently feel towards me? Oh, I think he liked you. He's not on here tonight, but yeah, he didn't say anything negative, even on the after party. Like, I think he liked you. It doesn't matter what your sign is. Doesn't make you a bad person. The discovery was hailed as the find of the century and sparked an international debate about the enigmatic origins of the Sphinx. Its purpose and the myriad of ancient secrets supposedly buried beneath its massive, outstretched paws. And yeah, if you find me on Facebook under Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson, Thomas-Peterson, I can direct you to his Facebook, or you could just look for Chris Garcia, and it's the one with the blue background. And there's two. One has more words, and the other one has less. Hi, Lauren. Most scholars think it was built 4,600 years ago as a memorial to Chephren, son of Cheops, architect of the Great Pyramid. That can't be true, say some Egyptologists who argue that the sculpture east is much older than the nearby pyramids and was built at least 12,000 years ago. Hey, Lauren, hey, girl. So glad you could join us. Okay, so as far as I know, sorry, I was a little drowsy again. I don't know why. Um, but no, the Sphinx is older than the pyramids, and it's been through a few wars. I think Napoleon might have been one of them, but the nose got shot off, so that was a big thing. Um, so one such thinker was French mathematician R.A. Schwaller. In the 1930s, he published a paper outlining his theory that ancient Egyptian science and culture was far older than previously believed by modern scholars. Dr. Schwaller's hunch is linked to water markings around the base of the Sphinx that he thinks were laid down at least 10,000 years ago, long after the great stone edifice was built. Dr. Schwaller was convinced that a great civilization must have preceded the vast movements of water that passed over Egypt, which leads us to assume that the Sphinx already existed, sculpted in the rock of the west cliff of Giza. That Sphinx, whose leonine body, except for the head, shows indisputable signs of water erosion. American author John Anthony West, a respected Egyptologist who conducts research and frequent tours of the Sphinx and nearby pyramids, agrees with Dr. Schuyler's findings. For one thing, he says there hasn't been enough extensive erosion evident on the body of the Sphinx. Oh, he's Aries. No, Chris is sweet. All right. So the West quickly dismisses any notion that wear and tear of the Sphinx might have been caused by wind or sand erosion, which I can see that sand blowing and colliding against the Sphinx. But then between the paws, I think yeah, there has to be like a secret tomb there. If the Sphinx was really built in the Old Kingdom and its wind erosion was capable of inflicting such damage on it in so short a time span, then other Old Kingdom structures in the area, built out of the same limestone, show similar weathering, he said. But none do, Absolutely unmistakable. Old Kingdom tombs full of hieroglyphs and inscriptions, none of them show the same type of weathering as the Sphinx. Professor Robert Schott, a Boston University geologist and specialist in rocky erosion, agrees with West. He is convinced some professional peers at the 1992 convention of the Geological Society of America that the weathering of the Sphinx was not caused by wind scouring, but by thousands of years of heavy rainfall long ages before the Old Kingdom came into being. I'm not saying that the Sphinx was built by Atlanteans or people from Mars or extraterrestrials, Dr. Schott explained. I'm just following the science where it leads me. It leads me to conclude that the Sphinx was built much earlier than previously thought. If his theory as a geologist conflicts with that of the archaeologists, historians, and Egyptologists about the rise of ancient civilizations, then maybe it's time for them to reevaluate that theory, he noted. So who built the Sphinx if it wasn't the pre-dynastic Egyptians? According to Graham Hancock, British author of Fingerprints of the Gods, the riddle is linked in some way to those legendary civilizations spoken of in all of the mythologies of the world. You know, that there were great catastrophes, that a few people survived and went wandering around the earth, and that a bit of knowledge was preserved here, a bit there. My hunch is that the Sphinx is linked to all that. If I were asked to place a bet, I'd say that it predates the breakup of the last ice age and is probably older than 10,000 BC, perhaps even older than 15,000 BC. My conviction, actually, it's more than a conviction, is that it's vastly old. John Anthony West expects that someday archaeologists will find a hidden passageway beneath the Sphinx. I'm telling you, it's in between his front legs there. It's right there. Like, you just go in between the front legs. There's an entrance. Go in, find that treasure. John Anthony West expects that someday archaeologists will find a hidden passageway beneath the Sphinx. Sphinx, a hidden lair that will prove the vast age of the monument once and for all. It's down there, he said. We've got the evidence to prove it. That evidence centers on seismological research conducted in the early 1990s, which West said revealed the existence of substantial underground chambers. Dr. Zahi Hawass, the archaeological director of the pyramids, and many other scholars who have spent decades scrutinizing the pottery, tombs, hieroglyphics, and other ruins from the Giza Plateau, take strong issue with the outlandish theories about prehistoric civilizations in Egypt. In Dr. Hawass's opinion, not a single object found there can be interpreted as coming from an advanced civilization that predates about 3200 BC. Anyone is free to believe anything he wants, Dr. Hawass said. But I call people like him, West, pyramidids. Pyramidids. Such comments only inflame West's intense desire to search and keep searching for clues to prove that his theories are correct, and those of mainstream Egyptologists like Dr. Hawass are way off base. All I know for sure on the bias of our work on the Sphinx is that a very, very high, sophisticated civilization capable of undertaking construction projects on a grand scale was present in Egypt in the very distant past, he said. Then there was a lot of rain. Then, thousands of years later, in the same place, pharaonic civilization popped up already, fully formed. Apparently, out of nowhere, these kings came. But with all this knowledge complete. So it's insane, like, they popped out of nowhere and they have all this knowledge, and it's insane. Hey, Nathan, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. You joined us right before music break, but I hope you enjoyed the music. Mia Savage is amazing. She's my best friend. She's in Arizona right now because she's a snowbird. She just hasn't come back yet. While the debate continues to rage, the enigmatic red stone monument stands gazing across the Nile, timeless and tranquil, as inscrutable and mysterious today as it was when its unknown builders made the first stone. I need to grab my bookmark. Oh man, there's my babe. Alright, you guys, so on this note, we are going to our first music break. And tonight's musical host or guest is Miss Mia Savage with her band Antidote for Savages. If you want to check out any of her music or some videos that she's put together, go on over to Instagram and you can find it there. She's going to be singing Your Skeleton, Our New Reality, Let Me Be Your Home, and The Murian Crypto. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break. Not 20.
You're mine tonight. You're mine. You're mine. You're mine.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm so glad you guys could join us. Oh no messenger. Okay, so let me know another way to get a hold of you, Nathan, and we can do that. A dark and cruel past. The ancient Carthaginians, rulers of the Western Mediterranean for more than 500 years, were a proud and prosperous people. From their North African kingdom near Tunis, they roamed the seas, establishing colonies and conquering any nation bold enough or reckless enough to stand in their way. In 186 BC, the empire's greatest leader, Hannibal, crossed the Alps and laid waste to most of Italy. My husband actually wanted to name our son. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, I think I muted on my something. Okay. Thank you. I'm back. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Thanks you guys for the heads up on the sound not coming through. So I shall restart again. Oh, thank you, Nathan. Thank you so much. Ooh. Oh my goodness. A dark and cruel past. Yay, Lauren! You're still there. Okay. Well, I'm sorry about that. We had a little skiff in the waters. The ancient Carthaginians, rulers of the Western Mediterranean, for more than 500 years were a proud and prosperous people. From the North African kingdom near Tunis, they roamed the seas, establishing colonies and conquering any nation bold enough or reckless enough to stand in their way. In 186 BC, the empire's greatest leader, Hannibal, crossed the Alps and laid waste to most of Italy. And then I was saying, my son, okay, so my husband wanted to name my son Randall, and due to Silence of the Lambs, I was like, no, ain't gonna happen. I was actually looking up all kinds of Greek names, but we agreed on Floyd because we both love King Floyd. As the long campaign bogged down, Rome counteracted, eventually conquering Carthage itself and bringing to an end one of the ancient world's oldest and most glorious empires. The conquest also opened one of history's darkest mysteries. For years, it had been rumored that beneath their courageous and industrious image, the Carthaginians were a cruel and hard people who practiced hideous religious rituals. And hold on. Including child sacrifices. It was alleged that they purchased or captured children from other nations for the sole purpose of offering them to Baal Haman, their principal deity. Greeks were the first to postulate about this dark side of Carthage. Following an attempt by a Gothic cult, the capture of a powerful city-state in 310 BC. Lately, wrote Diodorus, the noted Greek historian, instead of sacrificing children from the best families of the god, he had been bullying or buying children from other nations, rearing them in secret and then sacrificing them. To be sure, much of what is known about the Carthaginians was handed down by their conquerors, most notably the Greeks and Romans, who might have had their own reason for keeping their ancient foe in a less than flattering light. Plutarch called them a dark and gloomy people, subservient to their rulers, harsh to their subjects. Others called them cowardly and cruel, obstinate and superstitious. Many 19th century European historians found the horrible rumors hard to believe. No ancient people could have been that cruel or superstitious, especially the courageous Carthaginians. proud descendants of the long-vanished Phoenicians of Tyre and Sidon. In 1862, historians were outraged by a book written by Floyd that described the horrific details of child sacrifice practiced by the Carthaginians. Oh, congratulations on being a great aunt, Lauren! Oh, that is so cool! Congratulations, Lauren! So Lauren's going to be a great aunt! Yay! There were in Carthage several brass statues of Baal Hammon. Flaubert writes in Salammbô, the outstretched hands were inclined toward the earth so that a child placed on them did not lie there, but rolled off and fell into the fiery pit below. The dark legend has been confirmed by archaeology. Child sacrifice at Carthage apparently did not cease with the Roman destruction of the city. Tertullian, 2nd century Christian, recorded that it continued for hundreds of years, that children in that part of Africa were sacrificed in public to Saturn until the priests themselves were crucified in 37 AD. But, said Tertullian, this execrable sacrificial ritual of children continued in secret until his own day. Most tragic of all, he wrote, was that the parents themselves brought their offspring to the bloodthirsty god. To be sure, the Carthaginians were not the only ones who partook of this hideous practice. Kingdoms and nations throughout the ancient world, including Israelis and other biblical peoples, ritualistically killed children for a variety of reasons. Right. Thank you, Nathan. Carthaginians? What? Let's see what else. According to scholars, children were often sacrificed as a means of population control in times of famine and stress. Phoenicians, for example, threw their children onto the bonfires in times of crisis. King Mesha of Moab sacrificed his oldest son during a war against Israel in the hopes that the god Chemosh would save his kingdom from destruction. Theodorus of Sicily wrote that when the Carthaginians, Carthaginians. Yeah, but it's saying Carthaginians, so it's like there's extra stuff going on there, Nathan. I'm sorry. I don't mean to assault your earballs, but I'm trying my hardest here. Okay, so Theodorus of Sicily wrote that when the Carthaginians saw their enemy encamped before their walls, they selected 200 of the noblest children and sacrificed them publicly. Could you imagine? Sorry, son. Let's put on your Sunday best and take you out to sacrifice. It's for the betterment of the community. So, don't talk back. Yakety yak. Some historians have suggested that Carthaginians and other ancient peoples resorted to child sacrifice as a means of consolidating family wealth among the upper class. They also theorized that infanticide was a widespread method of preventing poverty, similar to the Greek and Roman custom of leaving unwanted children exposed on hillsides. Newborns were frequently chosen for the ritual, but in Carthage, evidence suggests that older children, 1 to 3 years of age, were preferred. Sometimes the children were related, as many of the urns found to fit the largest and oldest cemetery in Carthage suggests. No one knows how, when, or exactly why the grim practice of child sacrifice originated. In all likelihood, the ritual began the dawn of time as a means of coping with an uncertain world full of mystery and wonder. Consecrate to me every firstborn, God instructs Moses in Exodus 13-1-2. The first issue of every womb among Israelites is mine, or Israelites is mine. Then in Exodus 22:29, or is it? No, it's not. It's called. Yahweh orders, the firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. Based on the archaeological record, however, the Carthaginians appear to have been the only society that made child sacrifice a routine part of their culture. Barbaric and cruel people indeed. Yes, like you said, Nathan, pronunciation is all opinion anyways. We all hear different things in our head differently, like road, road, road. The Shining Kingdom in the Jungle. For 6 long months, French naturalist Henri had been hacking his way through dense crocodile-infested swamps of northern Cambodia in search of rare birds and exotic plants. Nearing exhaustion and running low on supplies, the weary explorer was on the verge of declaring his mission a failure when, early on January morning in 1860, he came upon an astonishing sight. Great sandstone towers rising high above the trees. Intrigued, Mohat pressed on to discover fabulous temples and terraces half hidden in the weeds, huge stone causeways and walls and wondrously carved pinnacles covered in elaborate sculpture. Extending as far as the eye could see was a magnificent city with hundreds of daringly constructed towers and the remnant of vast artificial waterways and broad monumental highways. And everywhere was colossal sculpture, elephants, lions, serpents, kings and queens, and hundreds of figures from Hindu religious epics. Most impressive of all, perhaps, were the temples, hundreds of crumbling stone edifices covering at least 25 square miles. That's a lot. One large temple, believed by some researchers to be the largest religious monument in the world, appeared to represent the Hindu cosmology with beautifully crafted bas-relief statues of dancing queens and devatas. Mohammed had just laid his eyes on Angkor Thom, the fabled lost city. It is greater than anything left to us by Greece or Rome, Mohat declared in his diary. To obtain any idea of its splendor, one must imagine the most beautiful creations of architecture, transported into the depths of the forest in one of the more remote countries of the world. Angkor's most notable monument lay more than a mile outside the walls of the city Angkor Wat, one of the most beautiful and famous shrines in the world. Built in the 11th century by King... Ooh, hold on a minute. Right. Don't press me on this, Nathan, okay? I know, you're all about pronunciation, but... King Udayaditya II, and renovated by King Vilyavarman VII at the end of the 12th century. The vast temple ruins are surrounded by a 4-mile-long moat, once stocked with crocodiles and poisonous snakes, an almost perfect square. The main temple is a bewildering complex of lakes and libraries, cloisters and galleries, shrines and stairways. Spiraling stone steps lead to crumbling terraces, farms where proud nobles resided, where real priests once raised their arms heavenward and called out to the angels to protect the population from demonic spirits. Lonely, rickety ramparts still guide the silent city from long-dead invaders. When local people were asked who had built these remarkable structures, they shrugged and said variously it was the work of giants, or it was the work of Ra'im, the king of the angels. Others claimed Angkor was created by the leper king, or that it simply made itself. Some said the city had stood in the jungle since the beginning of time and would remain there forever. Maohut concluded sadly that the inhabitants of the mysterious stone city seemed destined to remain hidden among the chaos and ashes of the past. 2 years after his discovery, the naturalist died of fever. But in 1866, the French government began a systematic study of Angkor Thom, the ancient capital of the great Khmer Empire, that flourished for 5 centuries before fading 400 years ago. By 1885, certain rulers and timelines had been identified, but major questions remained. Who had built the city and why? Why did the empire collapse? Where did the original occupants go? You already asked me that and I already told you, Anthony. Jeez. Archaeologists are still seeking answers to those questions. Some think the natural disasters, prolonged droughts, or even heavy flooding might have brought down the once mighty empire. Others suspect that brutal invaders from the north overran the kingdom, killing off most of the population and enslaving the rest. I told you, Anthony, I didn't go. It's Mother's Day and I can sleep in if I want to, okay? Take that, brother. You want to harass me some more about going to church? I told you I'll go next week. It was Mother's Day this week, so kids allowed me to sleep in and brought me presents, and we ate pizza. Lovey was going to take me out to eat, but I was like, no, how about we order pizza so we can all eat? Instead of us paying the same price, because you and me eating, let's get pizza and let's all eat. So that's what we did, Anthony. Thanks for asking. I love you, brother. Yee. Hey, Greg, I love you. I want to come see you. So Vern bought this new freaking limousine, and he's driving it as his daily driver because it gets best gas mileage. So we might come visit you in an old ghetto 1995 limousine. What do you think about that? Love you, brother. Sorry, I have to type this real quick. Okay. 2 years after his discovery, the naturalist died of tropical fever. I'm pretty sure I read that. But in 1866, the French government began a systematic study of Angkor Thom, the ancient capital of the great Khmer Empire that flourished for 5 centuries before fading 400 years ago. Oh shit, okay, can I call you after the show? I think I have a little over an hour and a half. Can I call you, brother? Because I want to hear what happened today to you. I really do. Or if you want, I can add you onto the show. What do you want to do? Let me know. Because holy shnikes, I'm just trying to imagine. What did you do, brother? Oh my goodness, I want to hear it. Holy shit. I might bring you on video. Okay, I think I'm going to. Let me mark my spot. Where did the original occupants go? you want me to call you on the show, or do you want me to call you in person? Oh my goodness. So nervous. Okay. I'm so excited. I want to hear. So archaeologists either... Okay, so it's okay to bring you on the show. I just sent you a request. So go ahead and click on that. I'm going to send it again. Holy shnikes, I need to get my headphones on. What is happening? I'm so excited. Tell me more, like the before. Okay, I sent you a link, so you might get it on Messenger. Just click on that link and you can come on, brother. But until then, I guess I should continue reading. So I want to see what's going on. Today, the descendants of the once proud Khmer continue to inhabit Cambodia's northwestern province of Siem Reap, content to eke out a living among the steamy jungles and swamps of their ancient homeland. When outsiders ask them about the glorious past of their ancestors, they smile and say the day will come when the old ones return and reclaim their shining kingdom in the jungle. Mighty Zimbabwe! Brother, come on in. High atop a woody plateau in southern Zimbabwe stand the crumbling remains of a stone city that has intrigued explorers and scholars since its discovery in the late 1800s. Local tribesmen call the massive granite stoneworks Zimbabwe, which means venerated houses or stone houses in the Bantu language, but nobody knows who built them, when, or why. European scholars theorize that the ruins have been constructed by some advanced civilization far to the north, possibly the Phoenicians or Egyptians. Another suggestion was that Great Zimbabwe, as the ruins came to be known, may have been the site of King Solomon's legendary mines. Scattered over 60 acres, the complex is dominated by a huge walled enclosure dubbed the Acropolis because of its hilltop site. 3 structures are included in the complex. A majestic fortress-like series of walls, labyrinthine passages, steps and corridors, a magnificent temple and other walled enclosure more than 100 yards long and 70 yards wide, and a series of lesser buildings known simply as the Valley Ruins. German archaeologist Karl Mach is thought to have been the first white man to gaze upon the ancient ruins. He came upon the imposing formations while tracking through the brush in 1871. In his diary, Mach wrote, "On the 3rd of September 1871, we ascended this hill. It is about 2 miles long, fairly high, with a bare top, from which there is a magnificent view in all directions. At first, the guide ventured gingerly into the summit, and then, one after another, walking like cats on hot bricks, we followed. Suddenly, in an easterly direction about 5 miles away, could be clearly seen a hill in which were great walls built apparently in European style. When the German entered the lost city, he found evidence of a rich, powerful civilization. One thing was certain, however, the builders could not have been Africans, because the local population, the Karangas, lived in modest huts and possessed few of the skills and wealth necessary for the construction of such an architectural marvel. No, it had to be someone else. Some powerful people or civilization now long vanished. Legendary Christian monarch Prester John came to mind as did the ancient Egyptian cities far to the north. Oh, I just sent you a request. It might be in your messenger, brother. So I'm going to send it once more. But I think it's in your messenger. Send request. So go look in your messenger and let me know. When the German entered the lost city, he found evidence of a rich, powerful civilization. One thing was certain, however. The builders could not have been Africans. We already talked about that. No, it had to be somewhere else. Already talked about that. The German explorers' discovery stimulated interest in the long-lost cities and civilizations on the Dark Continent. Soon, waves of archaeologists and tourists were flocking to what was then called Rhodesia to investigate and marvel at Great Zimbabwe's brooding walls and temples. Treasure hunters came in droves, searching for gold and other valuable artifacts. Experts believe the ruins were a byproduct. You didn't find it? What the crack? Okay, let me look at my messenger really quick. Okay, let me go over here. Invite. So I'm going to send you an invite on Messenger, okay? Hey, brother. So, it's going to come through pretty soon. When you pull up Mr. Greg Johnson. Oh, weird. Did you hear that? That was weird. There you are. Greetings. That was weird, that thing that just happened. Oh my gosh, now something is popping up. What the heck is that? No. Go away. Go away. I don't want to see you. So I just sent you a link. So, let's see. I think I'm repeating myself, but experts believe the ruins were a byproduct of the gold trade that flourished in the region thousands of years ago. Most scholars supported Mott's theory that Great Zimbabwe had been planned and built as a trading post by skillful architects and workmen imported from either Egypt or Phoenicia. But could the African apocalypse or Acropolis really have been built thousands of years ago? To many archaeologists, this seems doubtful, especially after a Scottish expert, David Randall McIver, concluded that the stone structures were only hundreds instead of thousands of years old, and that they were the work not of foreign workers but of Africans. Still nothing? I just sent it to you. Is your messenger not working, brother? Greg Johnson. Calling Greg Johnson. Calling Greg Johnson. Greg? There you are. Hello, brother. I'm gonna say, and there should be a link in there. If this is not working, I didn't know what the deal is. Oh. Okay, I am sending it. Send. Let me get this one. Yep, I went through. Hello, brother. The African Acropolis really have been built thousands of years ago? Too many archaeologists would seem doubtful, especially after a Scottish expert, David Randall McIver, concluded that the stone structures were only hundreds instead of thousands of years old, and that they were the work not of foreign workers but of Africans. These findings, announced early this century, were upheld by English archaeologist Gertrude Cotton Thompson, who in 1929 wrote that examination of all existing evidence gathered from every quarter still can produce only one single item that is not in accordance with the claim of Bantu origin and medieval date. Zimbabwe's age continued to be debated, but evidence found in deposits dated by carbon-14 analyses suggests that work on the Acropolis, the earliest settlement on the hill, did not begin until the 2nd or 3rd century AD. By about 1200, the area was controlled by the ancestors of the present Shona people, the Mbir, who were skilled miners, craftsmen, and traders. When and why was the flourishing trading and religious center of Great Zimbabwe abandoned? Historians are now fairly certain that by the start of the 16th century, the inhabitants of the ancient city simply ran out of food and timber supplies. Climatic changes, such as a series of droughts and crop failures, would have sent the population fleeing to safer, more producer regions. One local legend says a god came down to earth and took the people away. Like many other gods, the visiting deity promised he would return someday to get the rest of his people. So, brother, I sent that. Do you see it? Oh, there you are. Hello, handsome. Good. How are you? Here, let me turn on this. I want to hear it. Seriously. I'm glad you interrupted. Yeah? Yeah, I planted some on Mom's grave because I can't go there all the time. So instead of going and taking flowers, I planted flowers on her grave. And Kathy tried to pull them. I'm like, quit pulling that. Those aren't weeds. Those are flowers I planted. Stop doing that. Um, Yay! Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness, are you serious? Yeah. Yeah, she was sad you were leaving. Yeah. I've been trying to get Gary up there for so long. I'm so glad you took him. He needs it. He really does. I'm so glad you called in and thanks for sharing that. Like, I don't know, I used to get lost all the time. Then there's a 420 or 520 or whatever. There's 420 in there somewhere. So that's where I learned the riddle. Because sometimes I go this way, sometimes I go this way or whatever, and it was always an adventure. But I'm like, there's a 420 in there. I need to go that way. And I think that was Mom. Yeah, and we'd always go up there and smoke with her, and then also we'd go around and clean up the cemetery, like all of our past relatives and stuff, even people we never knew, or clean up their grave, and the kids would talk to them and stuff. And when me and Kathy went up there last time, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but it was super creepy. So we went up there, we smoked with Mom, and then we visited our cousin from Uncle Pete. And then we went and visited Grandma and Grandpa, and then we went over to all the other graves and stuff. And I'm always afraid of these trees falling over or whatnot. But it was all good. But you could hear like something walking around the boundary of the cemetery. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but somebody was like walking around, and then there was like a kind of like a Indian like war cry or whatnot. And Kathy's like, "Come on, let's go around the outside of it." And I'm like, "No, bitch, I ain't going." Forget that. I'm going there. You know, I might get bit by a snake or something, but I ain't gonna protrude. I know. I kind of wonder sometimes. I love her so much. I need to write her. She wrote me, and then I went on that cruise to Mexico, and I'm like, man, I need to write my sister. She's probably like, man, it's been almost a month. Why hasn't she written me? So I'm gonna do that tomorrow. But I'm glad you called in and shared that. That's amazing. So that was one of the flowers on her grave, or? That's cool. That is super cool. I'm glad you called in, brother. I love you too. Happy Mother's Day, Carolyn. Thank you. Yeah, I got some cool stuff from the kids. That one up here. Here, let me grab it. So, Nova made this one for me, and it's like a tarot card, the Mother. So she painted this one for me, and then the kids painted this one. Sorry, I don't have that part ready because I showed it off earlier, but it's like a plant. You can see Floyd's second thumb here and over here. It's super fucking cool. I'm like, hell yes, I'll treasure these forever. So yeah, this one's on my wall here, and then that one's over there replacing the "Don't let anybody dull your shine." But yeah, awesome presents for sure. Bestest. You too, brother. I love you too. Yes, I will, and definitely send me that picture. I want to see it, or that video, whatever it is. Alright, love you, brother. Love you, Carolyn. Bye. Aw, I love my family. So on that note, you guys, we are going to go to our second music break. On this break, we have Miss Me Savage with her band Antidote for Savages, and she shall be singing. Here, let me delete these. Bury Me in Heaven, which is one of my favorites. Not a Phase, Singing to Your Grave, and bottom line, you guys can go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
a ride. We'll kill those good guys and try to tell us that they're innocent and let the demons run amok. But it doesn't matter, because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want. It's all we need, a choice. No record, no work, no job, no savings of money. Just a choice right now between fear and love. Right now, between fear and love.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's been awesome having you. I'm so grateful my brother called in. Oh my goodness, it was awesome. Just seeing that, like he was going through all these daisies, and at the very end, there was one with a smiley face. Perfect, I tell you what. And then at least one of the things I planted lived, my sister did not pluck up. Oh my goodness, it was amazing. So for the third hour, we always do Reddit ghost stories. Are you guys ready? Want to talk about it? Like to hear? Here we go. Whose cold feet was that? So this is by you/June 1397. I went to bed early one weekend as my husband was playing a new game and was nowhere near as sleepy as I was. Me, woken up, full bladder, in the middle of the night. Fuck, what time is it? I asked myself with one eye open. The clock on the nightstand reads 3:32. I tiptoe to the bathroom so I don't wake up my husband quietly and as quickly as possible with my eyes closed. You gotta do that in order to get back to sleep. You gotta do all this stuff with your eyes closed. So you just get back in bed, go back to sleep. That's what you need to do. I do my business and wash my hands before returning to bed. I climbed in and get comfortable. Without saying a word, I feel my husband's cold feet intertwine with mine like he usually does, since I get easily hot if I'm touched anywhere else while I'm trying to sleep. Within minutes, I'm fast asleep again. In the morning, I woke up at 6 a.m. alone in bed. I went downstairs for my husband and find him playing video games in the same position as he was the night before. Did you have difficulty sleeping last night? I said. Yeah. Barely paying attention. I haven't tried yet. I'm confused. So, you just came upstairs last night to make sure I fell asleep again? Him, also confused. What do you mean? I haven't got up yet. Me? So whose cold feet did I feel last night, if not yours? Me and him blank stare at each other. What? She was cuddling with the corpse. What the crack do you do when you're in that situation? So this one is by you/Toasted Rage 17. Disappearing car needs to be debunked. So, this just happened to me last night. I have no idea how to explain what happened, and if someone could please do. The town I live in is a pretty popular town, a Riverdale area. It's a very old, historic southern town. We have a one-lane road that connects one side of town to the other, like a back road. And part of the road has neighborhoods and small parts that have no neighborhoods or streetlights. Last night, I was driving home from visiting someone that lives off that road in a neighborhood. It was around 11 p.m. I was already past the part of the road past streetlights and neighborhoods when I looked in my rearview mirror and saw one headlight right behind me, as if they were tailgating me. I was going 55 to 60 miles per hour. The headlight looked like it was from a really old-fashioned car. I just ignored it because I figured they pulled out and I didn't notice. I got to the end of the road where it meets with one of the main roads at the intersection. There's a small curve before the end. The headlight never came around the corner. I waited at the light for at least 30 seconds because I had to wait until it was safe to turn right onto the main road. The headlight never came. It's like it just disappeared. The other day, my boyfriend and I were talking about phantom vehicles, and I think that's what it was. We also saw one the other day, driving in the boonies. Can't explain this. I need help. Ananda, Priestess Love, said, "Hello, friend." Disappearing cars are actually fairly common in paranormal circles. A phantom car is the reason my sister believes in God. I personally find it more of a compelling argument to believe in spirits, but that's me. She does have a good reason, though, now that I think about the experience she had. Why do you need help? Are you feeling threatened? There are tons of spiritually protective things that you can do for yourself and your car if you would like. Please let me know if you want some advice about traditional things you can do to protect yourself and your space. This story is by you/popcorn41121. I don't know what this was. I don't believe in ghosts or anything, and this is really the only thing that felt real to me. When I was around 5th grade, I had a sleepover with my friends. A couple days later, I woke up and saw my friend sitting on his sleeping bag. He was right by my door where he had slept that night. He slept there the night of the sleepover. He was sitting straight up and looking straight forward. It seemed like he wanted to talk or move his face muscles, but was unable to. His posture would not change at all. His eyes were locked onto the foot of my bed. I slowly got out of bed and walked to the door. I had to do so because that's where my light is. I was completely terrified that he would notice my presence. I knew he wasn't supposed to be in my room. I blinked several times on the way to the light to make sure to myself and stop imagining him there, but he didn't go away. I flipped on the light and he was gone. I've never hallucinated, so I don't know what to compare this experience to. underscore importance underscore 57 said, your friend may have been an astral projection. I have heard of kids doing this unintentionally. Must have been pretty freaky for you. Orgy underscore crazy. No idea, but I'm sure if this happens to me, I would need to clean my underwear. Twisted underscore tells underscore 81 said, your doppelganger, in some cases, they are some form of spirit that mimics a person. It is thought by some people to be a harbinger of death. In this case, though, he may have been astral projecting either in his thoughts or sleep without knowing it. Like, he might have just been dreaming that he was back at your house. It's apparently more common than most people experience or have experiences of. Oh my goodness, can't wait to read this one. This one is by you/Kazuhu. Hospice RN. This is one of my favorite experiences with a patient who showed her spirit before and after death. I was a hospice nurse for 17 years and had so many spiritual experiences. One incident, I was working in a hospice inpatient unit where we had 10 beds for the patients. I had one woman who was actively dying. As I passed by her room, I peeked in and saw her sitting up on the side of her bed smiling. I walked on by, then stopped her calling. She's not been doing so well, also. She was missing a leg, and when I just saw her a few seconds prior, she had both legs. I backed up and looked in the room, and she was still laying there in bed. I thought maybe I'd seen her soul getting ready to leave the body. She looked so happy. After the end of my shift, I went home. When I walked in my house, there was standing in my hallway. She had both legs, looked at least half her age, and was smiling so brightly. I stood there, smiled at her, thanked her for giving me a visit, and she faded away. I called work and told them to go in and check on her. The nurse came back to the phone and affirmed she had passed. I felt so blessed she chose to touch in and share her joy passing on. David Parker. I did an interview on my hospice spirit encounters. I'm not allowed to link the YouTube channel, but there were other experiences my patients shared as they passed on. And I think they do that because they do care about, people that come in and take care of them. You take care of me, I take care of you. Like, I need to let you know, hey, thank you for taking care of me. I'm passing on now. Blah. This one's called Ghost Girl at Camp. This is an experience, and it's by you/store number NO244. I went to a Christian camp like 6 or 7 years ago for a week during the summer. In the middle of the night, I awoken, turned to face the window that was against my bed, and there it was. A white gowned, black-haired girl, staring at me from the tree line. I turned back over and covered myself with my blanket. A few hours go by, and I dashed to the washroom and threw up. I was sick for the rest of the week. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. This one is by you/FW Titter. Highway 1. There's a stretch of Highway 1 between Mount Tam and Simpson Beach that drivers should not stop for any children they see on the road after midnight. It's said that these are the ghosts of kids who died in a school bus accident in the 1960s. One time, a few years ago, a group of teenagers from San Rafael decided to take a drive along the scenic highway. They loved the beautiful coastline and were eager to spend time together, enjoying the view and smoking weed. Then they saw a group of children playing on the side of the road. The teens weren't concerned. They assumed the kids snuck out and were just playing near their homes. But as they got closer, they realized something was off. These children looked pale, their eyes completely black, and their clothing was out of style, as if they were from another era. They were all facing the same direction, not speaking a sound. The teens felt uneasy. Something wasn't right. They decided to slow down, but didn't stop. They had heard warnings about these children. As they drove away, the teens looked back and saw the kids disappear into the shadows. Suddenly, the road became dark. The car's headlights flickered. The teens screamed, then the car went silent. They sat in the dark for several minutes after the car started up again. Engines sputtered to life. As the car drove away quickly, the teens realized they had survived the ghostly encounter. They know they'll never take that stretch of Highway 1 after midnight again. Dun, 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 dun. That was a good one. I like that one. Woman on the Stairs. This is by you, Twisted _ L's _ 81. In 2014, I was living with my then girlfriend, now wife, and our son in a terrace house close to the center of Bolton in northwest England. The house is what we call a 2 up, 2 down here because they have 2 rooms upstairs and 2 rooms downstairs. The stairs run down the kitchen side of the wall and divided the 2 downstairs rooms. My girlfriend was working on a course to become a veterinary nurse. For this, she had to work 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. shifts. So there was just me and my son in the house. I'd put him to bed a few hours before and was now downstairs, washing the pot and pans. I heard footsteps on the landing and assumed it was my son, thinking he had woken up and was now running around upstairs looking for us, as he was apt to do. I dried my hands and prepared to go throughout the routine of putting him back to bed. I noticed these were not the erratic footsteps of a child, but the heavy, deliberate footsteps of an adult. The footsteps began to descend the stairs. I turned to see not my son, but a tall woman dressed in a long white gown. Once her head came into view, I could see she was well over 6 feet tall, had long blonde hair, and the stairs curved to the left as they approached the ground. As this woman rounded the corner, I saw her face. She looked odd. Her features were human, but something was off about them, like she was something imitating a human. As she took the last step towards the floor, she vanished. I stood still in shock for a few moments, but then plucked up the courage to go upstairs and check my son. Thankfully, he was still fast asleep. About half an hour later, my girlfriend got home. Was still slightly shaken up, but we could see another real human. Someone sat next to my mom. This is by you underscore lost dash pomegranate 66. Well, this is my mom's story, but when I was about 6, I remember going to her BF's house in Ohio. A lot of Ohio houses are old, and so we can imagine the history. Walking to the house was a walkway, and in front of the house was 2 gargoyles, set to protect whenever. Going into the home, it was dark, wood floors and dark wood walls. The BF's mom died in the house, as well as a long history of family passings. He was a cat. I was never allowed to pet him because he was sketchy, and one day I went to pet him and he scratched me. What the hell? My mom's best friend opened the basement and threw the cat downstairs. There was a curtain that separated the dining room and the living room, and he closed it because he said a little boy was there and was curious of me. We were the same age, and he liked to play hide and seek. The only bathroom in the house was at the top of the stairs, and my mom always accompanied me because there was an overwhelming sense of dread in there. When we got older, she said she felt someone help themselves in the bathtub. One day, when I wasn't there, she was using the computer by the bed, and the door literally opened, and something sat down beside her and actually made an indent in the bed, like someone sat beside her. That was the last day she went to the house. He told the best friend of this account, and he fully believed her, saying the house was absolutely haunted. I'm telling you, this stuff does happen. This one is by you / you municipal MUNI or MUINSIPU municipal. Please ignore because I thought I was crazy. One night, my boyfriend and I headed to bed. We just lay there for about 15 minutes in pitch black and trying to get to sleep. And out of nowhere, I heard these scrabbled whispers coming from our bedroom door for about 15 to 20 seconds. And in my head, I told myself, yep, schizophrenic, coming back around. And just continued to try to sleep. Mind you, I never heard voices in my head before. But I don't believe in ghosts either, so that was my logical explanation. Sorry, just close that down. So that was my logical explanation. Can't find it. Where the crap did it go? Oh, I think it's this one. Sorry guys, I'm trying to find it. Where is... Okay. About 2 minutes gone by, and my boyfriend asked, "Did you hear that whispering?" I said, "Yeah, I literally convinced myself I'm crazy. Did you hear it?" We started laughing because of a ghost really tried haunting us. They got not scared, reacted out of us. They were just kind of freaked out, right? My next logical reason is that someone broke into our apartment and is sneaking around and whispering and to one another. So I asked him, "Do you think someone broke into our apartment?" And we both got up and grabbed an empty flower vase beside my bed and shook our entire apartment and nothing. We laid back down and agreed that maybe it was a car outside. I don't know how we agreed to that. What do y'all think? What do you think? Visit Romantic Gia said, sounds pretty ghost-like to me. Laying Mercy said, I believe you. My wife and I both heard footsteps in our bedroom one night. Unmistakable. Oh, I have to like these comments. Come on now. Are you serious? Let me like it. Hello. There we go. Hello. Going out on a supernatural limb here, in my opinion, could be shared experience of ghostly whispering, but not. Yes, B, if neither of you has a history of audible hallucinations, but you both heard it, then there's no likelihood of neighbors whispered loud enough for you to hear. Isn't that the point of whispering? Yoon Soo said, also, even if they did whisper loud, the entire unit is soundproof. A new believer. This one is by you, Mustache. 1998. A new believer. I comfortably slept in my bedroom for a couple of days now. Woke up to my wife kicking my feet. I sat up and looked down at them and remember seeing them leave the bed. Then I figured drifting off into the darkness and towards the bathroom. Thinking it was her, I waited. The second turned to 2 and no light came on. I smacked the left of me and felt my wife still in bed. I've heard stories and have had small encounters in the past. Ones that make me sort of believe the possibility that not quite believe it's functional. Things I can explain away. I've never felt a chill like I did that night. It came in waves over and over as I stared into the darkness on the other side of my room. Can't sleep with the light off anymore. We live here with our sister and parents, and we all have seen things before and believe in ghosts. Apparently ghosts are a common thing at their house, but not common enough to make anything of it. I have a few questions, if anything, to answer. One, they say, don't be afraid. God will handle it if you just pray and stand your ground. Is that a common practice if you are around ghosts often? Do they get stronger if you're scared like I am? And ever since this has happened, I felt different. The air is colder now, and my wife has lost her phone last night. We looked for it for about an hour until we gave up. We looked in the blankets at least 5 minutes. We looked everywhere because that's where she remembers leaving it. She jumped in the bed and on the bed and defeated and got in the covers. Her phone was in the sheet. The third sheet tucked in the 3 corners. The fourth untucked side is my side on the other side of the bed. She found it lying exactly where she left it. Under the sheet. Is something ghosts can even do? Our house in Japan was possibly haunted. Not 100% sure if I believe it then, but now I'm starting to think it actually was. My wife used to say the ghost moves their stuff. Always thought it was an excuse from her and her forgetfulness. Can ghosts actually move things? The phone was undertook in the sheets. Any experienced ghost spotters? please give some info? I'd really appreciate it. This one is by you_stuff9598. This was real. When I was about 12, we visited at my grandparents' house in Iowa. My cousin was to sleep with me in a bedroom seldom used anymore. I woke up that night to see the moonlight streaming in and a white figure standing on the bed. Frightened, I closed my eyes, thinking it was a ghost. Then I tried to talk myself into saying it was just my cousin, only it felt like she was still lying to the right of me, and the figure was standing on the left of me. And my cousin had dark hair and a pajama short outfit, where the figure was blonde and had a gown on. Still didn't have my glasses on and couldn't be sure. After what seemed an eternity, I finally felt 2 steps press behind me and go toward the edge of the bed, but I never heard them hit the floor or walk to the door. In the morning, it was a real foggy situation. My cousin asked me what I had been doing standing on the bed for so long, that I scared her. I denied it and said I thought it was her. Then we decided it was a ghost. This upset the grown-ups, of course. Said there was no ghost. I'm not sure what I saw, but I know I saw something. This one's by you, FTW Titter. FTWIDDER. Ghost Girl on Ocean Beach. For years now, the legend of the Ghost Girl at Ocean Beach in San Francisco has been told. It is said that a young girl had drowned in the ocean and now her spirit is haunting the beach, seeking revenge on anyone who dared to venture too close to the water's edge after dark. One foggy night, a group of students from USF decided to brave the legend and camp out on the ocean beach. They built a fire, told ghost stories, smoked weed, drank beer, and laughed off the stories of the ghost girl. As the night wore on and the fire died down, they began to feel a sense of unease creeping over them. It felt as though they were being watched. Suddenly, they heard a haunting melody on the wind. It was the sound of a music box, sweet and mournful at the same time. Then the ghost girl appeared before them, in a flowing white dress and shone in the moonlight. Her hair was long and tangled, and her eyes glowing with malice. She beckoned to them, and they were paralyzed with fear. As the ghost girl approached them, they saw a wound in her throat. Blood dripped down her dress as she whispered their names. They knew that they were in terrible danger, that this was no mere legend. They tried to run, but it was too late. The ghost girl's bony fingers reached out and grabbed them, dragging them towards the ocean, where she met her own tragic end. The next morning, the group was found washed up on the shore. Park rangers, police, and medical examiner chalked it up to an Ocean Beach's infamous undertow and drinking. The case was immediately closed. Seriously? Oh, well, this is due to drinking. Give me a freaking break. Questions of physics, or is it paranormal? So now let's see. Right now in the bathroom, the hairdryer fell down. You have certainly experienced that for days or even weeks. You have an apparent reason the thing falls down. How do you explain that? I'm curious about your answers. I think there's like one. This is from Luangeli. Majority of the time it's physics or crappy sticky tape tacks, etc. Unless it's attached to something that there's no way it would have fallen without force, like it's hung on a nail or screwed in. Then, depending on whether you don't mind something being there or not, you figure out your next move. Me? I get careless. Just don't break my shit or try to hurt me, cause then I'll have to bind it, and I don't want to do that. It's just being somewhat of a nuisance. I say leave. Let's get out of there. Just go on, shoot. This title is very long. This one is by you/Micros20. My late mother, for the few occasions we weren't with her, we had cameras in case she fell. This can't be a glitch because Mom went through the same ritual and would be at least 5 minutes between both positions. Mom's hair was very short at the sides and back, nor had she either. We don't know the lady sat down. Text Joe Mama said, wow, the image is very detailed. Do you recognize that person? So yeah, she does, like, he said she had short hair, so I could imagine short hair, but it goes a little bit longer, like at her shoulders, it's kind of flicking back. Weird. Grand_cauliflower_88 said, maybe a relative? He looks up there in age, maybe they know she will be coming sooner than later? Please don't take that wrong. I truly hope she does not die anytime soon, but when you get older, you just never know when. It's very light, so that's probably good. Does she have a sister or other family member that passed already? Could be. And then they say again, okay, went back to look at the pic and reread the post. I didn't realize she was pretty past. Maybe that was someone waiting for her. Indeed, people have said they seem to see past relatives. Rot Goddess said, I'm having trouble understanding the next you included. One is your mother and the other isn't. Which is which? Micros20 said, the woman sat in the chair we've never seen before. The other lady with a frame stood up was Mum. SpectreNC said, are you certain that isn't a blanket that is catching the light just right? Huh? You could see an arm and a facial feature, though. And then Accomplished Europe 606 said, is it a lady? It could also be an elderly. Like, to me, like in this picture, it looks like an elderly old lady. Anywho's, this one is by you/Wishbone-643. Late night voice in our yard. And this is under experience. You ready? So this is pretty short. My step-siblings came over like they did every other weekend and stayed. It was late when I got up to go to the bathroom. I laid back down in my bed to go back to sleep. Mind you, it's summer, so I had my window open. Just before I could go back to sleep, I heard a faint, help me. So I got back up and looked outside, since that's where I heard it from. We lived in the country, so unless someone was in our property, we shouldn't have heard anything. I heard it again, but a little louder, from by our garage. I heard it 2 more times before I closed my window and started off to sleep. Just as I dozed off, my little stepsister started to scream. Woke up the whole house. When we all got up to her room, she told us she heard someone or something. trying to open the door. The room was closest to the door she was talking about, but wasn't able to hear the knob turn. We never heard the voice, but I did tell her, and she told us that she just woke up and heard the knob jiggling and started to freak out. The invisible entity said, "This happened to me before. Very weird. We have these old school Halloween flashlight toys that make sounds, right? And one of the sounds says, it's straight up demonic," laughing my ass off. And one says, I'm walking down the stairs and I hear me, and I'm like, what the fuck? Balls went in my body. It's like, I'm stuck up there. I go into the closet and start digging because it keeps saying, help me. Dude, I found it. It's been there for years. Nothing was hitting the button. It was going off by itself. It was so creepy. I was a female for 20 minutes with how flat my groin area was from pure fear, dude. And this one's by Worried Wishbone. One of the houses I lived in, the one from my first post, I had the same deal, only with my stepsister's beta monitor. It was a toy, and it would go off, and one night it happened, and I monitored it and went out to look, and it was sitting on her cooking set, and nothing was around it at all. Weird. Isn't that so weird? I've had moments where my iPhone would glitch out in a way it never glitches out. Almost as if someone I can't see is standing there fucking with my phone. Worry-Wishbone-643 said, my wife had her phone, and this is back when there were flip phones. And it would go completely dead when we were in the graveyard one early morning, and when she got back to the car, she had stretch marks around her neck. Okay, so I think it's scratch marks, not stretch marks. Scratch marks around her neck, and looked like someone choked her. The-invisible-entity said, that's insane. I don't know. I've gone to graveyards, and for some reason, when I'm with people feel uneasy, and I'll feel out of peace. Like, I'll feel so nice there, I don't know why. But choke marks? That's insane. And then Fit-Firefighter-329 said, this happened to me in Florida. Turns out it was a bird whose calls sound like scared the crap out of me at the time, though. This one, hopefully we have time for this. Oh shit, what the heck happened? This one is by you/Worried-Wishbone-643. Shadow figures in my room. So this is probably one of the weirdest encounters I've had and the scariest, because I'm not sure what it was or wanted, but probably 15 years ago when I was still a teen. Just before bed every night, at the same time, I'd see a shadow figure. It would also start out in the corner of my room, then make its way to the foot of my bed. Really tall and a thin shadow figure, and it always made me feel the same. And I could never move while it was around. I just lay there frozen somehow. It would just stand there facing me. It didn't have a face, just an outline of a person. Half of me thinks it's just what it was, a shadow figure. I do know they are a thing, but the other half wonders because it seemed to take over my thoughts and would completely freeze me in bed. Plus, every time it came around, temp would drop in my room. I know I'm not the best at writing these, but I'll get it better. What a name, it's Corner Crate Bay. Hopefully we can get through this one before the end of the show. This one is by you/Erling_value 2503. Hospital visit encounter. When I was 2 years old, I I was seizure-free. I had to undergo a test called epilepsy monitoring unit. Especially I'd spent 5 days and nights at the hospital while I stopped taking my meds and sleep deprived. I could bring anything I wanted, and my dad was there in case anything did happen. And of course, there was the nurse call button that would alert a nurse in case I needed anything. I could see this ghost, not with my physical eyes, but almost as if I could see it and what she looked like. She was a young nurse who wore a white uniform and buttoned-up skirt, as well as a white hat with a square with a red cross on it. That's old school nurse. I don't know what time period that was from, and I wasn't sure why she was there. And she was that young or still in the hospital room. She would visit occasionally and do her job, checking on me, asking if I needed anything. It felt silly to me, but to her, it was all real. Her presence was sad. Over time, it felt there was this boy, a child 5 to 8 years old, that she tended to in this hospital room. She was never able to save him, and I assumed that's why she was still in the room. It was 2 a.m. and I eventually had a seizure. All I remember was coming out of it, looking at my dad and a physical nurse with an oxygen mask. Once the nurse made sure I was well enough, she left the room. My dad then shared that my heart had stopped. He held me in his arms, pressing the nurse's call button over and over as I flatlined. He felt like he was going to lose me, and he never wanted anyone to feel the way that he did. I didn't even process it. I was too shocked. I was just glad I was alive. Time had passed, and I never felt the presence of the ghostly nurse again. Then I realized something. She had been gone since my seizure, since I flatlined. She may not have saved her old patient's life, but she saved mine, and now he rests peacefully after a long, long time. Well, you guys, on that note, it is the end of our time together. Oh my goodness, I didn't get my peanut. Night, love and light to all of you who hung out with me this evening for a short time with me, TessaTNT, for joining us tonight on Media Paradox Media's Late Night Rockies. And thank you to all of our friends on Media Paradox Media's Facebook, radio, Twitter, Spreaker, YouTube, Twitch, iHeartRadio, wherever else you may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time, and I hope to do it again tomorrow night. Actually, next weekend, we have me on Armed Forces Day, storytime with me, TessaTNT. Then we have Mr. Jim, aka James Moses. He's going to be coming in and sharing a lot of very important information with us. Don't forget, you guys, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Until next time, night, love and light, all my peace out there. I hope you guys have some rest of your weekend. Yeah, call me, tune in, do the after party, whatever you need to do. I'll see you back here. Same crazy time, same bad place.